All right, everybody, what is up? Jake Dema here. I'm going to start this video off by introducing myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jake Dema, and I started a bookkeeping company about 4.5 years ago. It's been pretty successful, and I'm surprised by that. I'm surprised because I am like a very average person, and I know I say that a lot, guys, but I was unsuccessful for the first, I would say, 20 years of my life. I struggled through college. I struggled in high school. I struggled when I first started my first job out of college. I struggled there at a tax firm, and I honestly was not built to be an accountant. I wasn't very intellectually smart in the beginning, and I'm still not smart by any stretch of the imagination. But something clicked in my head. Something like a light bulb went off in my head when I was working. It didn't happen all of a sudden, but the accounting concepts finally made sense to me. It took me 3 years in the workforce, in a tax firm, at a CPA firm, to learn accounting, to understand it, to really get my head around how the debits and credits work, how the reports work, how a profit and loss and balance sheet operate. And in this video, guys, I want to talk about the accounting and QuickBooks basics. I want to give you a bookkeeping 101 walkthrough. And I want to explain to you how bookkeeping works, kind of behind the scenes, the things that I work through, the things that I've learned, the things that have worked for me. And maybe it'll be helpful for you. So this video, guys, it's for the maybe it's for the accountant that is struggling with understanding accounting. It's for somebody who wants to start a bookkeeping company and just needs to understand the basics. But it's also for the business owner who started a business and they just want to understand the accounting behind their business. Maybe they are really good at something, but they don't understand the numbers and they just want to get a better understanding, a better feel for how the numbers flow. So let me jump right in, guys. Like I said, I have a background in accounting. I graduated from college with an accounting degree. That really did help me, but I absolutely learned nothing. It helped me because it helped me get my first job, and I did learn some basics, but honestly, guys, I barely made it through college. I failed my tax class, and I don't even know how I got through college because when I started working at a tax firm, it was as if I knew nothing. And maybe that's how other people feel when they started right out of college, but college definitely did not work for me. I was not a good student. And so I struggled as an accountant, but I eventually got my feet underneath of me. Like I said, 3 years in, I went from like survival mode to arrival mode. And so someone told me this once, that there's like 3 stages of a career. You have survival mode. That's like the first couple years when you just don't want to get fired. You do everything you can to not get fired. And then you have the arrival mode where you finally understand what you're doing. You can do something from the beginning to end, and you're getting by and you're building confidence. And then the last stage is the thriving stage. And this is when you are going above and beyond. You really understand the fundamentals. You have done something over and over again, and you have conquered the skill and the concepts. And so for me, guys, it took me a long time. I was a slow learner, but after 3 years, it finally clicked. And after 5 years, I felt like I was thriving, and I was an employee for about 7 years. And after the 7th year, that's when I started my bookkeeping business. And so, guys, like what is bookkeeping? Like, what is bookkeeping? Even just from bare bones, what is bookkeeping? And this is how I would describe it. I'm not going to read a definition to you, but bookkeeping, in my mind, is basically categorizing transactions to create financial statements. It's categorizing, organizing, taking each transaction that runs through a bank and credit card account, and it's compiling them and organizing them into categories. And there are really 2 reports that are helpful, that are necessary to do a bookkeeping job. And that's the profit and loss and the balance sheet. These are the 2 reports that you have to understand. They are the most important. The profit and loss is maybe the easiest to understand. It's your income, the money you make, minus your expenses, and that equals your profit. That's the profit and loss. It's also called an income statement. What other names does it go by? Yeah, profit and loss and income statement. Those are like the two big names for it. But that's the report that people kind of can get their heads around. They understand the math on that. The report that's difficult to understand is the balance sheet. And the balance sheet is tricky because it really tests your understanding of debits and credits, and it tests your understanding of how money flows. And so let me give you an example. So the balance sheet, as you know, it consists of assets and liabilities and equity. So those three things work in tandem with the profit and loss. So you have to know all four of those things. And the basically the way it works, guys, is let's say you go buy a piece of equipment, okay? Maybe it's a really expensive piece of equipment. It's $10,000 you buy. There's a bunch of things happening, but basically you're buying something with your cash, so your cash goes down and your assets go up. And so you're adding equipment to your assets. And so in accounting, there are always two sides of every transaction. There is a debit and there's a credit. Something is going up and something is going down. It's like a scale. You can't do a transaction without having another opposite side of that transaction. And that, guys, is the part that is the hardest to understand. Because in this example, when you buy cash, your cash goes down, but your asset goes up. So your balance sheet net worth, if you will, hasn't changed because it's almost like a net zero effect. Your asset went up, your cash went down. It's zero. Let's do another example. Let's say you purchase. Let's say you get a loan. Okay, you get a loan for $100,000, and so your cash goes up by $100,000, and your liabilities, your loan, the category that you have as a loan, also goes up. And so you have the debt that goes up and your cash that goes up. And so in that situation, guys, nothing went down. Actually, both things went up. And that's where it becomes really important to understand that liabilities go up with credits and assets go up with debits. Okay? Assets go up with debits, credits go up with credits. Liabilities go up with credits. And that's the balance sheet. The income statement, expenses go up with debits and income goes up with credits. So that is the part, guys, that you have to understand. You have to understand that income goes up with a credit. So when you receive money, it's a credit to income and it's a debit to your cash because assets go up with debits and income goes up with credits. And so when you have a debit and a credit both going up, then you're good. It equals. You tie. And so, guys, that's the accounting. That's the accounting that you have to understand. Maybe if you're a business owner, guys, maybe you can get away with not understanding that, if I'm being honest. Maybe the most important thing for you to know as a business owner is how the reports work, is understanding the profit and loss and balance sheet. It's understanding that the balance sheet is showing you how much you own and how much you owe at a specific point in time. And a profit and loss statement shows you how much you've earned, in your gross profit over a stretch of time. And so that, guys, is like basically the basics of accounting. And if you are starting a bookkeeping company or if you're going into accounting, understanding the debits and credits is so important. And honestly, guys, you just have to do the work to understand it. I don't think there's I'm sure books can help. Books never helped me. But if you really want to understand this stuff, then I think you need to get experience in an accounting firm. If you want to start a business one day, I highly recommend getting that experience first. I think it would be very challenging. Unless you're like beyond intellectual, then I think it'd be really hard to like own a bookkeeping company and to do bookkeeping confidently without that kind of experience. So highly recommend 3 years of experience if you want to start a bookkeeping company. But if you're a business owner, guys, then you really got to nail down these reports. Don't forget about the balance sheet. That is important. So that's the accounting, guys. It has to click. That's the accounting. But there's really two sides of bookkeeping. As you're categorizing transactions, yes, the accounting is important, but what's equally as important is your understanding of QuickBooks. QuickBooks is basically, it's the software that I exclusively use, and it's the software that basically everybody uses to keep track of their transactions. So QuickBooks is a software that is a little bit overwhelming. It can be difficult to understand. And there's really, in my opinion, there's a lot of things in QuickBooks. You have payroll in there, you have sales tax, you have special reports, you have all these settings, you have like these dashboards, and you have vendors and customers. Like there's a lot in QuickBooks that is difficult and overwhelming. But I would say, guys, the two things that you need to focus on if you want to do your own bookkeeping, it's the bank feed and it's the reports like I talked about. The bank feed is the most important thing in QuickBooks. The bank feed is where your bank and credit cards are connected. And so they're going to be connected and the transactions are going to come in automatically. So as the transactions come in automatically, that's where you assign each thing. So as they come in, they don't hit the books yet. When a transaction comes into the bank feed, it doesn't show up on the profit and loss and balance sheet until you select add, until you select match, until you categorize it. It won't show up anywhere else in QuickBooks. It'll just stay there in the bank feed. And which is great because you don't want things to like just automatically show up on the profit and loss and balance sheet. You want to have control over it. And so the bank feed is where you control the information that comes into the books. And the bank feed is where you're going to match transactions to things that you've done in QuickBooks. And so there's a lot you can do in QuickBooks. And so if you own a business and you send out invoices to your customers through QuickBooks and they pay that invoice, then you have to make sure that the deposit that's received matches the payment on the invoice. And so the bank feed is really important because matching is one of the most important concepts you can understand in QuickBooks. Just like debits and credits are the most important thing to understand in accounting, matching is maybe one of the most important things you can understand about QuickBooks. It's the way QuickBooks was intended to be used. You have to learn how to match properly. Same goes with transfers. If you transfer money from one bank account to the next, if you don't match it, if you don't match that, then or pair it, then it's going to be duplicated. And I see this issue all the time where things are duplicated in QuickBooks because the matching principle is not adhered to. QuickBooks has a specific way of doing bookkeeping, and you have to get on board with that. And so there's a couple, I would actually recommend doing that training with QuickBooks. QuickBooks has a pro advisor training, and it might take you a couple hours to do, and there's like little quizzes along the way, and then you get a certification at the end. It would probably take you more than 2 hours. It'd probably take 3 or 4 hours actually. But you go through that, take your time, don't cheat, don't try to, use ChatGPT to do it. But go through that, and I think it'll really help you understand what QuickBooks has to offer, the basics of QuickBooks, and how the bank feed works and how it's supposed to work. So that's QuickBooks. Again, I wouldn't worry about like all the other features in QuickBooks. What I would focus on is the bank feed and the reports, because if you understand those two things, then it's going to get you really far in the bookkeeping world. So that is basically, in a nutshell, my understanding of accounting in QuickBooks. There's so much more to share about all of the details about a balance sheet and a profit and loss, about QuickBooks and how it can be used and how it should be used. I could go into detail on any one of those things and provide extra, help to those who need it. But I'm not going to do that. If you have any specific questions, put them in the comments and maybe I'll make a video on that. If you want to start a bookkeeping company and you have some experience in accounting, then definitely take a look at some of my other videos. I have other videos that talk about how I started my bookkeeping company, how I went from no clients to 50 clients, how I've been able to generate over $200,000 of profit in my business. So take a look at my other videos, like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel so that you're in the loop for future videos. But guys, I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.